Hey, what's up you beautiful feckers, how you all doing? Now, in today's video we're taking a look at 3 incredible tank warframes that I personally enjoy running with. This is of course the third video in this series after my damage frame video and of course my crowd control video, so the next one after this will probably be a video on support warframes, which will probably only feature Trinity because it's the only one I can think of. So feel free to let me know in the comment section what support warframes you enjoy running with. Now maybe you're new to Warframe and like me you love having a tanky character in most of the games that you play. You enjoy soaking up damage and being able to face tank groups of enemies while dishing out a decent amount of damage in return. Then hopefully this video will help you out. If you're a veteran to Warframe, then you can already make your own assumptions as to what's a good tank in the game or not. Some of course are better than others. Before I jump into the video, let's get the honourable mentions out of the way. This is only 3 warframes, so of course I couldn't list them all, and there are frames that are just as good as the 3 that I'm showcasing in this video, and in your eyes they might be even better than the ones I'm showcasing, which is fine. Frames like a Turbulent Zephyr, like a Nidus, like a Shatter Shield Mesa, like Frost, Trinity, Valkyr, Necros, Rhino and some other setups are insanely good tank warframes, equally as good as these. Now first up is a warframe that if you've been following my channel for a while you knew I was going to add this into this video. It's a video about tanky warframes after all, and he is my go-to warframe, my favourite. He has got one of the highest base armor values in the game. It is the princess himself, Ice Dragon Chroma, which is of course the cold version of Chroma which buffs your armor. In fact, he's just as good as a fire tank which will buff your health, and there's the option to run him as a shock trooper tank or a toxic reload tank, so there's plenty of options with Chroma if you don't like running as the ice variant. Now the type of Chroma you run is based of course on your energy colour, which is whites and blacks for ice, blues for electric, reds for fire and of course greens for toxin. Well, the variants of reds and the variants of blues and greens as well. And the many reasons I prefer the ice Chroma over the other elements like fire is because of all of the bonus armor you gain from his elemental ward and from his vex armor abilities, not to mention the damage increase he gains as well. Elemental ward will increase Ice Chroma's armor, but it will also cover you in a reflective ice barrier that bullets and rockets will bounce off and reflect back onto enemies, dealing a small bit of damage, and it will also have a chance to put a slow effect on those enemies as well. So you have the chance to reflect bombard rockets. You can ignore them, laugh in the face of danger. What's that? A rocket? Fuck rockets. Elemental ward is an aura that can be shared with teammates, but to be fair, the base range of that elemental ward is pretty bad, so modding for it is kind of pointless. You want to be a selfish Chroma. It's all about you. Forget everyone else. His Vex armor ability will give you 2 different buffs, Fury and Scorn. Scorn is your armor buff, and to activate this buff, your Chroma has to lose some of his shields. To maximise this buff, to get the most out of it, you need to lose a total of 400 shield, no more than 400. If you lose 500 shield, your buff isn't going to be any higher than it already was when you lost that original 400. Vitality and Vigour will get you to that magic number of 400 or an arcane barrier. So with his base armor, elemental ward's armor and reflection and his Scorn buff, your Chroma can have some insanely high armor values. But the key is to keep them buffs active at all times. Against higher level enemies you may want to take cover when you recast your ward and your Vex armor, or you could get one-shotted. Now Vex armor's Fury buff will increase your damage output by a large percentage as well, depending on the power strength of your Chroma, and to activate this buff you only need to lose a small bit of health. 100 health in total lost will maximise your Chroma's Fury buff and have you killing anything in your path and dealing insanely high damage numbers. So an Ice Chroma can reduce and reflect incoming damage. He can increase his damage output by a lot, but then again all Chromas can do that regardless of what element they are, and his reflected bullets have a chance to slow down enemies. He's also a dragon, and dragons are cool, apparently. So this is my current Ice Chroma build, and it's based on a high power strength for larger Scorn and Fury buffs, and high duration for longer Vex armor and elemental ward runtime. I know I could use quick thinking here for more effective health, but to be honest I hate that mod. It's a personal preference and I really don't like it. I don't like to use it, I don't like the stagger you get from it either, but that doesn't mean that you can't use it to make your Chroma a lot tankier. Now the big downside to Chroma is that to reach this level of awesomeness you might need to invest in some arcanes from either raids or from trade chat. Arcane Grace or Arcane Barrier are great for your Chroma, or an Arcane Energize if you think you need that energy regen. Now I have about 6 Chroma videos on my channel, and the last one was almost a year ago, but nothing has really changed with Chroma since then, so feel free to look those up if you want to have more of, I guess, a detailed explanation as to how he works. So that leads us to the next frame. Now the next Warframe on show is our Desert King, Skeletor. Yeah. This is in fact Inaros with his slightly lower base armor values, insanely high health and health regen, crazy crowd control and complete lack of shields because he gives zero fucks about incoming damage. Now to get your hands on Inaros, you're first going to need to buy his quest off Baro Katir whenever he graces us with his almighty presence. Inaros is a mastery rank 0 frame, so anyone can get their hands on him once you've finished all of the quests that you need in order to actually finish his quest. Now Inaros, like I said, has no shield. Instead, his health scales a lot higher than other Warframes. It also means that running with the Rage mod on him is guaranteed energy regen all of the time once you're taking damage. His fourth ability when channeled will give him a 100% increase to armor at the cost of some of his health, but with his Scarab armor he can regen that health in no time at all. Apart from his Death State passive, which allows him to siphon health off nearby enemies when in a down state, Inaros can also restore 20% of his health by killing an enemy by a finisher attack or by a counter attack, and he also has 3 separate abilities that can regen his health, which is one of the reasons he is such an effective tank Warframe, that constant ability to fully heal up. His first ability, Desiccation or Pocket Sand, is mainly used as a blind ability to crowd control large groups of enemies, but it also deals a small amount of damage over time, and 25% of this damage is returned to Inaros as health, which isn't a whole lot, but every little counts, right? So the fact that his first ability blinds enemies, and he can also get 20% of his health back by doing finisher attacks on those enemies that are blinded, once you add a covert lethality to any dagger on Inaros, it makes him an incredibly effective Warframe. It means he can constantly heal himself back up just by doing those finisher attacks. Now doing a 1-hour solo mission with Inaros is really easy once you've got him modded correctly. His next ability, Devour, allows him to simply devour an enemy while healing himself back up, and when fully devoured, that enemy will turn into a sand minion to fight at your side. While casting or channeling his Devour ability, Inaros is also immune to all incoming damage, so it's actually a great panic ability. When things get hectic and you think you might get put down, simply cast Devour, heal yourself back up while being immune, and then get the hell out of dodge. The ability itself isn't great, but the fact that you're immune while casting it, I mean, that's a huge benefit. Now his fourth and ultimate ability, Scarab Swarm, like I said, will increase his armor by 100%, and it will also give him 4 charges of Scarab Swarm, 25% for each charge, so 25% out of that 100, so you've got 4 charges. When you use one of the charges, you will of course lose a percentage of that armor, but the Scarab Swarm when cast on enemies will crowd control them, but it also drains health from those enemies back to all nearby Warframes, so again, it's a solid healing ability that can also crowd control. Inaros, in all honesty, is an amazing Warframe, one of the best tanks in the game, and with Pocket Sand and Covert Lethality, as I mentioned, he can one-shot any enemy regardless of level and constantly heal himself up in the process. So this is my current Inaros build, and I have him modded for max range and duration to get the most out of the crowd control from my desiccations, and for Scarab Swarm's range as well to get more crowd control from it. Now you can mod for more power strength to get a better heal back off Scarab Swarm, but if you're running with a covert dagger, then you may not need it because you're going to be healing yourself up through those finisher attacks anyway. But again, it's a personal choice which way you want to mod your Inaros, whether more power strength for higher healing or more range. Again, quick thinking is another mod that's entirely up to you. If you can get your hands on a Arcane Grace, then it's a huge help for any Inaros. In fact, it's a huge help for any Warframe whatsoever. Which leaves us to the final Warframe. Now, choosing the next Warframe was a bit of a tough one. I felt like picking a Shatter Shield Mesa or even Nidus, but after checking the comment section of my other video, this guy was mentioned a lot more than those 2 frames were, so I would have felt bad if I didn't put him in. So this is of course Wukong, or more precisely a Defy Rage Wukong, who is possibly our last real invincible Warframe in the game after what happened to Valkyr's Hysteria, with its draining now scaling up. Wukong is another Mastery Rank 0 frame, but this one you can get from the Tenno lab of your clan dojo. His base armor is only 225, but it's the combination of his Defy ability and the Rage mod that turns Wukong into a hard to kill frame. So his second ability, Defy, will allow Wukong to escape a killing blow by returning a percentage of his health and leaving him invulnerable to damage for a brief time. This invulnerability phase is of course affected by duration mods. While Defy is active, if Wukong takes one of those killing blows, his health returned will be 75%, then 65% for the next blow, then 50% for the next blow, and 40% for the final blow before he eventually dies. Each time Wukong takes one of those killing blows and gets healed up by one of those percentages, it will of course cost him some of his current energy. So not his overall energy pool, just his current energy amount. Defy is also an energy draining ability, so you're going to have to mod for duration and efficiency to stop yourself losing all of your energy really quickly, but that's also where the Rage mod comes into play. With it, you can have a constant stream of energy returned to you to help you with the overall energy drain and also to help you with the energy cost each time you take one of those killing blows. So this is how I went about modding my Defy Rage Wukong. I don't use Wukong a whole lot, but every time I do, I get reminded about how damn effective this setup is, and it made me realise exactly why so many of you mentioned it in the comment section to my last video. Now I wish I could have put a lot more Warframes into this. There is some incredibly tanky Warframes in the game and some incredibly effective ones, but remember, each of the builds that I have shown in this video is based on my own gameplay and the way I play the game. Look at them as more of a rough guide for how you might want to build your tank Warframe. In fact, what am I saying? Most of you feckers could teach me a thing or two about modding and already know what way to mod your favourite frames. In the comment section below, by all means, let me know what's your favourite go-to tank Warframe. Maybe it's Nidus, or maybe it is a Shatter Shield Mesa and I should have put her in the list, or maybe it's even a Puddle Hydride or a Wall Latching Loki. I mean, that's the best passive ever. Wall cheese. Don't forget to hit that like button if you enjoyed the video, subscribe for more Warframe, and as always, thanks very much for watching.
Now we're standing on the edge, holding something we don't need. All this delusion in our heads is gonna bring us to our knees. So come on.